Welcome to Elevate, the Global Commerce Summit. We are here at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Not a bad place for a gig.
Not at all.
I'm Patricia Wu, your host, and this is Scott Hebner, my co-host and analyst. You're going to love this next interview with all the animals you have.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we should get into that. But the one thing I would say to everyone is, you know, when your kids are small and they say get a parrot,
they
realize
live 50
they
years.
live 50 years. So now they're gone in college and I'm stuck with a parrot.
But you know how best to take care of them. You're going to find out some more lessons right now, because we're going to introduce our guests. We have got Rohan Cherian, VP of Engineering, Pet Valu, and Scott Johnston, VP eCommerce and Customer Experience at Pet Valu. So I think Scott is one of the people that you guys have in mind when you say you're partnering with devoted pet lovers. He's got parrots, turtles, koi fish.
3 dogs.
Amazing. You're the ideal customer.
Yes, yes we are. And my kids were, but they're gone now. I'm stuck taking care of everything.
Yeah.
So speaking of the ideal customer, you have wanted to give your customers the best, just as they want to give their pet children the best. How did that impact your journey? Because you've come quite a distance from 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, 0 online sales, am I correct, to where you are now. Walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a decision made pre-COVID to expand the Canadian Pet Valu network from 600 stores to about 1,200 stores. So we went public, raised a bunch of money, and started on that journey. The leadership knew that we needed to have an online digital presence that mirrored the excellent in-store customer service that Pet Valu Canada is known for in order to be successful in that expansion. Our franchise model really allows for local owner and local customer to come in and create that bond for our devoted pet lovers so that they're successful throughout their whole pet journey's life cycle. So it really is, when you come into the store, you're going to bring your pet in, and the owner is probably going to know your pet's name before they know your name. And that's the relationship that has been built and been the success for Pet Valu over the years. And the challenge then became for Rohan and I, how do you create that online for the next stage of customers who are a little more digital savvy than the previous version? So that became our focus as to how do we achieve that.
Yeah, so how did you do that, Rohan?
Yeah, so I think one of the journey essentially just began with like what we actually have today and where we'd start transforming it. And one of the core focuses was that interaction that Scott just described in store. It's very personalized, it's relevant, there's a lot of like meaningful moments. So we started looking at that and saying, okay, what do we need to do to kind of get something stood up that is not only composable, but also modular, flexible, that can scale. So we started there, and we kind of tried to make sure that the experiences we have today online, because we went from a browsable site to having a shoppable site, but that site was still tied to a very monolithic platform, right? So not able to kind of roll out features very quickly, risk-prone release cycles, like engineering was always locked in, you had vendor lock-in. So really it was kind of taking an approach of one team, one mentality, looking at putting the customer right in the middle and saying, what would the customer expect? What they expect is what they get in store. When they walk into the store, the ease of connectivity, the conversations they're having with the ACEs, which are animal care experts. We have acronyms for everything. So customers are called DPLs, devoted pet lovers. Our store associates are called ACEs, animal care experts. And that's basically where we started the journey. And we tried to replicate all that directly into the engineering stack that we picked. And that's one of the reasons why we ended up looking at commercetools, because it aligned perfectly with that vision, being able to personalize and have something that's real time and at the same time scalable.
So it sounds like the composable commerce was a very strategic, conscious decision.
That's right, yeah. We understood that going down the composable commerce route meant that you're going to end up having to stand up your own team, you have to take the reins and you control your fate, and it just meant that you'd have to have teams that knew how to kind of work and think together. So Scott and my teams work together very closely between product and engineering. We move as a unit, right? So we typically look at, okay, what feature, what problem are we trying to solve? What does that experience look like today in store, and how do we truly create a omnichannel unified experience? So Composable was at the heart of all of that, because it was really the foundation of what we needed to start building on top of. So we're coming up on, I think in a week, we're coming up on a year since we launched.
And I suspect the composable part also opens up a whole ecosystem of sources for new innovations and allow you to
Yeah.
move quickly, adapt, and as you learn and get feedback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we talked a lot about is being able to do things like releasing when ready or doing rapid deployments. Like we would work on features on our previous monolithic platform and wait for months till we could truly release it. But now the innovation, so it's almost like you're getting autonomy without chaos. You're getting all this innovation that you can actually do, and you're able to be more confident in delivering something that's also faster, more reliable, and the teams get a lot of autonomy. Like they're able to kind of run things the way they need to in each area, and if we want to start looking at API first, integration first, we can just look at all these tools out there and know that we don't have to wait for months to turn on.
It's pet, but it's still retail, and it moves very, very quickly. And even in the first half of this year, we've seen a ton of change in the industry, and how quickly we're able to respond to those things has been part of the success of why we're still Canada's pet #1 pet specialty retailer. So, best of breed, best for me. Having the things that are important to our DPLs and to our ACEs at the stores to be able to support that journey has been really helpful.
It sounds like the ultimate team sport, right? You got product and engineering work together, you probably need the storefronts and the ability to bring all that together, get people to buy in, and then you have the composable architecture that allows you to adapt quickly. I mean, I think it's a really good model that future-proofs
That's right.
where you're heading with your customers.
Yeah,
We
that's
really,
right.
We really did align, so in-store POS is also in our group, as well as so the online experience and the customer care experience. So we hear it from everybody about what's working and what's not working, and we're able to quickly make decisions around that without getting sort of bogged down in too much red tape. So it's a good alignment for our groups.
Yeah, it helps to have, I mean, in my past life in retail, these would all be bifurcated. You'd have IT sitting in a different group, you'd have care or marketing sitting in a different group. So, silos start to form. It's nice for us because the customer care team sits directly with Scott. The in-store tech for POS sits directly with me. But together we have teams kind of coming together saying, here's that experience, here's the problem, here's how we want to solve it. And then we can try and look at it and say, okay, well, how do you scale that experience across an 800 store network nationwide? East Coast to West Coast, and how do you kind of make sure that's consistent no matter where the customer goes, in-store or online. So that kind of access to information and data and that availability of knowing what we need to be able to do and quickly testing it and hearing back from the customer, that's really key. It makes a big difference.
I want to circle back to something you said right at the beginning about just, the customer experience in the store and how much you valued that, and you wanted to make sure you could replicate that online. How has this digital platform impacted that customer connection?
It's been very, very vital. We know that most of our customers are going online before they're going in store, or they're making that purchase online, depending on what their, how their time constraints are that day. If they can get to the store, they'll go. If they need to shop online, they need to shop online. So that experience needs to be exactly the same for what they check out and what they pay for and what item availability is online, as well as what it's the same thing in store. So we're very, very conscious about making sure inventory is as near real time as possible, so they know with confidence when they get to the store what they have, as well as just general item availability and as much information as we can get them to help them make that purchasing decision. We don't do any special promotions online, say for some recurring subscription items, but the price you pay online is the price you pay in store. We're not trying to channel shift anybody. So we're really there to support the customer, our DPL's journey, however they choose to shop in-store, online. We know the store is the king. They're the source of our success over the years, and we're there to help support them. But we also know that the customer is shifting towards a more digital universe, and we want to make sure we're there to support them as well.
During Andrew Burton's keynote this morning, 3 things jumped out at me. One was the composability, which we just talked about. The second thing is when he said going from a transactional experience, to more of a personal experience, making it an actual experience, right? And then also not just responding, but anticipating. So can you talk a little bit about that in the world of pets?
Yeah.
I'll start. You can kick into the technology side. So we do a lot of personalization. We're not super deep into it, but it's on our roadmap to get into. Within our pet profile, that a customer can tell us about their pets and how many pets they have and how old they are and the breed and all those other kind of things. We're able to target with specific promotions or other content that might be relevant to them. If you're a cat person, stop sending me, dog coupons, those kind of things, right? So we really get into like a personalized experience through our pet profile, where we're able to not only online, but in store. When you log in store, the ACE will be able to see your pet profile and that information about you. So the whole journey kind of comes connected. The pet profile has been growing over the last little while. We've got a contest on right now where, our customers can tell us, send in pictures about their pets and be voted on, and the top 12 are going to become part of our annual calendar, which is it drives tens of thousands of entries every year. We needed to build that to be able to support a mass amount of entries in a very short period of time, where Rohan's engineering team kind of came in to help with that.
Essentially, when you talk, what you mentioned, Scott, this morning about Andrew's conversation around going from like every transaction, I think we like to look at it as convert every transaction into an interaction, and you really look at every single thing and say, okay, if a customer were to experience something that was very personalized, online, how do you make it more contextual and relevant? To Scott's point, we're just starting that journey. So you're not just getting an email saying, hey Scott, we know you bought this kind of food for your parrot. We're trying to take that even further. Like if you end up starting to look for something online, you have a pet profile created. We know what type of experiences and relevant products to position and show you. At the same time, that's a journey. You have to have enough interaction points for that to kind of convert. Or else it would just be a very static email that comes to you, say, hey Scott, here's your email, thanks for visiting the store, right? So that's the journey that we're going on, but there's lots of moving parts and pieces to that, because that means all the different microservices that we've built, all the different elements that we're touching, we have to be able to connect those together. So commerce, like a composable commerce strategy, has allowed us to unify that data architecture. It's all those silos are starting to break down, and it's starting to enable exactly what Scott's talking about with cross-channel experiences.
Yeah, I was going to ask where is all heading from here? I mean, you made great progress. Obviously, the pandemic wasn't too long ago.
Yeah.
Where do you envision, maybe we're talking again in 2 years?
It's a great question. Like, we've got a lot of stuff that we want to do in our roadmap. I think search is really important. We're looking at that. One of the key areas we're looking at is what happens after you click submit online, right? So really kind of understanding what happens beyond the button. What happens with the data, what happens with order and the order flow and order management, because job's not done, right? Like, customer found the site, got onto the site, found what they were looking for, frictionless checkout, but what then? What's next? So because for us, we have to make sure that we're able to service the customer. They have direct visibility and access into those orders. They want to make changes to those orders. So order management ends up becoming a key area that we're looking at, order orchestration. We're also starting to get AI curious. We're looking at AI specifically to try and understand, okay, well, how could we use this meaningfully versus just kind of being a buzzword thing, and kind of look at it from a standpoint of, should we start exploring other AI tools? It was great to see that commercetools rolled out AI as well as model context protocol. That means that it's built into the engine already that we're using. So we would start identifying areas to start activating that. And then I would say connections and loyalty, because values in our name, so really kind of looking to deliver true value for the customer.
So I'm wondering if you could just give one piece of advice for another traditional retailer just embarking on this e-commerce journey, what would it be?
I think one of our biggest successes with this transformation that we did was we really partnered with all the other groups, with commercetools, with our SI, with the rest of the organization, to make sure that it was successful from day one. We came in on time, on budget, and we had no drop in sales or traffic. And within a very short period of time, we were able to start building and releasing on the new platform. And a lot of part was that was due in no small part to the engineers working with our SI's engineers, the product team working with the SI's product team, so that everybody was on the same page and we all knew what we were going to get when we came out of it. Don't let your SI work in a silo and then hand you something and say, here you go. You want to be there right from day one.
Yeah, and I would say be intentional about everything. Don't let it happen to you, especially if you find yourself on a modernization journey. Ask yourself, what is your vision state and mission state, but really kind of look at it and say, what does a composable strategy mean for you? What does speed and flexibility mean for you, right? And prioritize, I would say, more than anything else, outcome over polish. So one of the things that we've done is we got very comfortable being uncomfortable, and then from there it kind of became this steady, constant state of saying, okay, we can constantly change and react and pivot. But that became the key underlying pin for us to look at it and say, okay, this is how we can actually build and keep rolling out. If you waited to build the perfect thing, you'd never roll it out. So our ability to iterate and our ability to kind of put a feature out and then build on that. It may not be perfect, but we got it out faster, and you can start kind of proving out the business case, right? Right.
Was the decision around composability, as a core architectural approach, anchored in the ability to go across an ecosystem of providers, or was that something that came of value a little bit later?
It was actually something that we learned during the course of the implementation. It was not something we kind of knew right up front. We knew that there was a way to kind of go about implementing and working with SIs. At the same time, we also realized that being intentional about your architecture and understanding what that looks like, that would be key, and then understanding how you're going to work with multiple different vendors. Because if you're staying with the legacy monolith, you're basically in a tightly coupled integrated system with one vendor. The moment you go composable, now your critical point of failure, you actually bifurcated that. Now you have many points of failure, but they fail in isolation. So all of a sudden you have to think about it and ask that question, do you need to actually have multiple vendors, or should you actually stand up a team that can understand that living assembly line, right?
Well, I'm looking forward to having the AI agents that act like my pets.
Act like your pets or order everything for you. Imagine that's a full-time job with.
Although for the parrot, we're going to muzzle it.
Yeah, we got to make a possum button.
Friendly. Yeah, we go.
I'm surprised you haven't offered them the parrot yet. He was offering to ship it to me.
Cage and all. Would love Miami.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, you guys. This was so interesting, and for two pet lovers, definitely very insightful. So looking forward to this future with our pets.
Awesome, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for watching our coverage of Elevate, the Global Commerce Summit. I'm Patricia Wu for Scott Hebner. Don't go away, we have a lot more coming up. You're watching theCUBE, the leader in enterprise tech news and analysis.